Today I'm going to pull some tarot, 3 cards from the tarot, 1 card from the Divine Feminine Oracle, and then also do the book method of divination to help you get some information from your body at the time you view this video. So with that being said, let's start with the tarot. I'm looking for 3 cards that will help get some information. There's one. But what your body would like to tell you at the time you view this video. 3 cards, please. 2 more. All right, so we've got the Knight of Wands in reverse, the Magician upright, and the 3 of Wands in reverse. Right away, I think what you might notice as well is the red in both of these cards and how that is playing off the red here in the Divine Feminine deck. So let's get one Divine Feminine Oracle as a clarifier for this. It's that one right there. All right. Oh, look at, she's red too. Oh my gosh, I can't make this stuff up. Zhao Xuanjing, the mystic of peace. I am peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. Okay, wow. What a cool reading. I mean, first and foremost, let's just notice the colors of these cards. Isn't it wild that red came out again? And then look at, there's this subtle pink surrounding her, and it's just like playing off the flowers with the pink in these cards as well. If nothing else, it's a beautiful reading to look at. But there's a lot coming through very strongly. So let's start with the red. Let's start with the wands here. So we have Knight of Wands in reverse. We have 3 of Wands in reverse. And we asked for the messages that your body is trying to tell you. So what does your body want you to know? Our body is not only giving us messages of how we can become healthier, how we can correct subtle or not so subtle imbalances in our physical form, but our bodies are also just like massive truth tellers. I always say, like, our bodies never lie. It's just our job to get good at decoding the language of our bodies. It's our job to get good at listening to our bodies and understanding what they're trying to tell us. And our bodies have more information about our life than just our physical health. So when we can begin to more and more tap into the wisdom of our body and what it's trying to tell us, it not only unlocks healthier living, it also unlocks more joyful living and more abundant living, more creative expression. It can help us work through blocks that are seemingly unrelated to our body. So getting in the practice of listening to our body is huge. So what feels very potent to me as a place to start in terms of what your body is trying to tell you at the time you find this reading is that the way forward in any area of your life, so whether you're wanting better relationships, better health, better finances, more creativity, better more success in your career, I believe your body is wanting you to know that that's going to come through actually laying down the assumption that harder work is going to get you there. Because when I think of the Knight of Wands, you can think of it as an impulsive card, okay? And then you think of the 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands is very like hard working. And both these, as in any tarot card, there's a light and dark aspects. There's positive and negative aspects of each card. There's light and shadow, right? So if we think of the Knight of Wands in terms of the shadow, it's, the impulsive nature of things means maybe there isn't as much strategy involved in certain pursuits in your life as there could be. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when impulse is great, when risk is needed, but clearly what your body is trying to tell you is that impulsivity combined with really trying to work really hard. So, another way I think of the wands is like passion, right? How we fuel our passion. And I think what it wants you to know is that in reverse, what it's telling me is that slowing down a little bit, being more strategic and less impulsive in any area of your life. So that could be in physical matters. So maybe that means planning meals out for the week or something along those lines. Or maybe it has nothing to do with your physical health. Maybe it has everything to do with your relationships. So taking time maybe each week to really look at what you've committed to, and if you're happy about what you've committed to, and if there needs to be, or if you're not, if there needs to be strategic boundaries put in place to protect your energy. Or maybe the strategy is coming more in your work, looking at different ways, like as cliche as it sounds, but there is a lot of truth there, to working smarter, not harder. There's something here about that that feels really important at in this season of life that you're in. Because let's look at the Magician here, right in the middle. And oh my God, I just love that it's in the middle. These colors playing off of each other are just like getting me in the best way possible. So the Magician in this reading, what it's speaking to me about is that there's other ways to move your life forward towards more success, towards more healthy, joyful living than just through like pushing and striving and passion and hard work, which is think what the wands are are representing. Because the Magician it represents every suit in the tarot deck. So we've got wands, swords, cups, and pentacles, okay? So wands, again, often represent a lot of passion, creativity, again, work, flow. Swords often represent like the thinking energy, strategy, boundaries. Pentacles represent like the earthly matters, things like money and how you get your physical needs met. And then cups represent emotional matters, emotional endeavors, emotional labor. And so I believe what this is trying to tell you, this reading, your body at the time that you find this reading, is wanting you to be willing to look a little more broadly at how you think you're going to reach your goals, and to start to value more the other aspects of life. So to begin to look more holistically at your life, and instead of just trying to power through, to instead look at how you can heal, and how you can heal in different areas of your life and utilize different resources that you have in areas beyond just working hard and hoping things work out. And so it's really wanting you to look at yourself as more of a holistic being with many aspects of who you are. You're an emotional being, you're an intelligent being, you're a thinking being, you're a creative being. You also have capacity to put like physical labor and hard work into things. All of that is lovely, but instead of depending so much on hard work to achieve whatever goals you're wanting to achieve, again, whether it's with your body or in other areas of your life, what your body would like you to know is like, that's hard on it right now. And where the actual breakthroughs are going to happen is not through working harder, but it's actually going to be through seeing yourself more holistically, seeing the resources available to you more holistically, and beginning to utilize them, because that's going to bring so many areas of your life, I think including your physical health, into more balance. So when you think you have to work harder at the same thing that you've already done, do your best to stop yourself in that assumption. And one mantra that I love that comes from A Course in Miracles is, I'm willing to see this differently. Because I think what that's going to do is help you move out of this very like red, only these options, to all these variety of options, seeing your life again more holistically, beginning to open your eyes to affordances that you maybe didn't see before, in terms of ideas, in terms of resources, in terms of strategy. And that is actually what is going to be what leads you towards, again, more success, the reaching of your goals, whether that is with your physical body or in other areas of your life, and just in general, to more healthy, joyful living. Now, I'm going to read out of the book for this one. But before I do that, for this oracle card, I think it's so interesting, again, that the red showed up after that's what really was calling my attention in these cards here. And I feel like what it's saying is, in this card, like, I am peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. I feel like it's saying, see how like it's is trying to help you understand the power that you think you're achieving by working hard is actually going to be achieved in a different way through cultivating more and more of a peaceful mindset. Do you know what I mean? So like the red is showing up here to help you understand that, because why do we work hard? Why are we passionate about things? Well, it feels powerful, right? It feels empowering, and that's wonderful. And when we get out of balance in that regard, I think that's when the problems show up, right? Whether it's physically or otherwise. And so I think what this reading is saying, I think what your body would like you to understand is that you can reclaim true power, again, to me in this reading represented by the red, by looking, instead of pushing through, by looking at cultivating more peace, practicing more peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. So instead of it being about forcefulness, having it be more about how do I remove the blocks in my mindset so that I understand more how to utilize all that is available to me to move forward in powerful ways. So let's read about this card. And then the final thing I'm going to do here is do the book method of divination, open this up at a random place and see if there's any specific messages from your body about food. But look at this, as I'm like putting this here, look at how these colors are now playing off of each other in the Magician and this book. Isn't that wild? So I guess what that's telling me in the moment is like, again, this is, I don't know if you've heard of intuitive eating, but it was such a life-changing book on my journey. But it's in stark contrast to like the diet culture, which is forcefulness and deprivation and rules, right? And so I think that's like what's being said here. Like there's more available to you in your intuition, in your mindset, than you're ever going to achieve just by pushing through, whether that is for your physical health goals or for other areas of your life. There seems to be a real request that this more intuitive approach in all areas of your life be considered. And, you know, one thing I love about intuitive eating is they, as in the two dietitians who wrote this book, they recognize who we are as actual humans. You know what I mean? The diet culture expects us to be machines, which is why it doesn't work for anybody, right? And so the diet culture is kind of like push through, forcefulness, you know, trying to, again, deprivation. That's what's going to get you what you want. And what we really need to do regardless of what goals we have, what imbalances we're trying to correct, is look at who we actually are. As humans, again, we are creative beings, we're spiritual beings, we're emotional beings, we are also physical beings, but all of that plays into how well our body is feeling, how well a project is going at work, so on and so forth. And so the more we can broaden out our focus and see ourselves from all those different angles and see where there might be imbalances or we might be neglecting one of those areas of our lives, the more we can move forward in truly powerful ways and sustain it. Okay, so let's read about Zhao Yuanjing. I apologize if I am not pronouncing that correctly. We're going to read about her, and then we're going to do a quick divination from the Intuitive Eating book. Okay, Zhao Xuanjing, the mystic of peace. I am peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. Who she is. Zhao Xuanjing embodies the unwavering tranquility that exists deep beneath the turbulence of our daily lives. Zhao Xuanjing was a 12th century Taoist mystic poet, and the night before her son's birth, she had a dream that she was immersed in a red mist. Oh my gosh, you can't make this stuff up. This is a very auspicious sign in the Chinese culture. Wow, that's wild, right? So the red really is an important part of this reading. And I do feel like so here it being an auspicious sign, that red mist, I feel like there's something here about, and again, it being a mist and having these colors play off here with the pink of of these tulips. What that's saying to me, so here in the wands, the red to me represents more of like the root chakra. So really like what you can like physically get done for your survival, right? But then what I feel like the magician is asking you to do is again transform that power into a more abstract ethereal power, right? Where it's a mist now. And look at it's pulling, it has like the sweetness, that pink in it. So it's not as like heavy and worrisome and serious. It's more auspicious, as it says. Wow, that's so cool. Okay, here we go. The night before her son's birth, she had the dream that she was immersed in a red mist. This is a very auspicious sign in the Chinese culture. The title given her as a master was Free Human of Mystic Peace. The emphasis in her poetry was the power inherent in stillness. Wow, so like that's the direct opposition to the power inherent in work, right? So I think one way to summarize what the message that your body would like you to hear right now is that there's also power in stillness. So it's not that there's not power in work, but there's also power in stillness. And I think it would really like you to more and more experiment with that power, practice with it. And I believe there'll be an imbalance corrected, potentially in your physical body, but then also in other areas of your life when you're willing to experiment with the power of stillness. Okay, let's keep going here. Okay. The secret of the receptive, she writes, must be sought in stillness. The way, or Taoism, is a spiritual practice of clearing the mind so that when you take action, it isn't from the ego, it's from the source of life itself. Oh, what a beautiful way to summarize what we talked about too, right? Because I think when these get out of balance in terms of, it moving from the light way of embodying these cards to the shadow side, it's when that energy is acting from ego, right? So then we have to go into our stillness. So we slow down a little bit so that we can reconnect with source. So that same hard work then is flowing in the right direction / has the proper intention. The pedestal of awareness is steady as a boulder. Zhao taught that meditation allows us to disengage from the surface drama the ego can invite us into. She often refers to the moon in her poetry because this was the symbol of the eternal sky, or the freedom we can reach if we stop looking at the light and shadows of the moon. Excuse me. Let me start over. She often refers to the moon in her poetry because this was a symbol of the eternal sky, or the freedom we can reach if we stop looking at the light and shadows of the moon casts and see the moon itself. When your soul selects her card. Albert Einstein reportedly said that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Clarity only comes from clarity. There's a peace and calm that exists far beneath the constant banter most of us listen to all day with our minds. Jungian author Clarissa Pinkola Estes calls it the river beneath the river. It's the steady flow of the universal life force that wants us to reach our goal if we can only get still enough to merge with it. Wu Wei is Taoism translates as doing nothing. It's a sacred feminine art of trusting the force of life that exists within all of us. Zhao mastered the spiritual practice by calming her mind and experiencing the still center that's in the eye of every storm. Zhao is the call for us to be still, do nothing other than shift our awareness, come out of the current state of mind, wherein before making any moves or decisions, she reminds us that we only want to take action when what is moving us is the force of love at the heart of everything. Soul voice meditation. Enter the heart and ask to experience stillness. Repeat the mantra, I am peace. Intention, I am peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. Wow. That is so beautiful. One thing that really stood out to me is the mention of Clarissa Pinkola Estes. She's the author of The Women Who Run with the Wolves. And I got the strong gut hit to recommend, if you've never listened to that audio program, to recommend that to you to look that up and consider listening to it. It's incredible. And it relates definitely to this magician in this different way. Instead of operating from this way of being, these wands, a different way. And there's just like a lot of beauty in that series slash audio program. So I definitely wanted to recommend that. Wow, what a powerful reading. Okay, so finally, let's open this book to where it wants to be. Here it is. Health at Every Size. Health at every size is a concept embraced by many different disciplines. It focuses on health rather than how much a person weighs. Health at every size promotes improved health behaviors for everyone regardless of size. Unfortunately, the weight-focused war on obesity has contributed further to food and body preoccupation, yo-yo weight loss and regain, distraction from other personal health goals, reduced self-esteem, eating disorders, and weight stigmentation and discrimination. Intuitive eating is very much a health at any size aligned approach. Health at Any Size updated their principles in 2013 to include social justice as follows. Weight inclusivity. Accept and respect the inherent diversity of body shapes, sizes, and reject the idealizing or pathologizing of specific weights. Health enhancement. Support health policies that improve and equalize access to information and services and personal practices that improve human well-being, including attention to individual physical, economic, social, spiritual, emotional, and other needs. Respectful care. Acknowledge our biases and work to end weight discrimination, weight stigma, and weight bias. Provide information and services from an understanding that socioeconomic status, race, gender, sexual orientation, age, and other identities impact weight stigma, and support environments that address these inequalities. Eating for well-being. Promote flexibility, individualized eating based on hunger, satiation, nutritional needs, and pleasure rather than on any external regulated eating plan focused on weight control. Life-enhancing movement. Support physical activities that allow people of all sizes, abilities, and interests to engage in enjoyable movement to the degree that they choose. Wow, that's really powerful. So health at any size. So I think what a beautiful way to kind of summarize this reading, because if you're coming for actual advice for your body, from your body, I really believe what it's saying is the standard of our culture, which is diet culture, which is white supremacy, which is misogyny, which is all these things, which is fat phobia, right? Causes us to think if we can just work harder and get skinnier and do this, that, or the other thing, then we'll be happy, and then our body image issues will go away, and this, that, and whatever will happen. And I believe what the magician and the mystic of peace, and then now the intuitive eating approach is trying to get your attention about is there's a an entirely different, maybe we'll say it that way, different definition of health and practice of health that your body would really like you to explore, that aspects of your psyche would really like you to explore, because it's actually aligned with health and not aligned with dysfunction. And it's going to liberate you from the heaviness of believing that your worth is related to outside standards such as your weight. Now, if you're coming to this reading wanting information from your body, but not necessarily about your body, about what your body needs, but just more about life, I think what the entire reading, but then that excerpt from Intuitive Eating is wanting to illuminate is that the more intuitive approach, the better. The less conventional approach, the better, right? Because health at any size is not a very conventional approach. It goes contradictory to what is promoted in our culture at this time. Hopefully that's changing, but that's just the truth at the time I'm recording this video. So I think where you can start to question convention, where you can be willing to say, I'm willing to see this differently, where you can be willing to catch assumptions that you maybe thought were truths and begin to lay those down to allow Mother God to help you understand differently, there's going to be huge pathways that are going to clear because your mind is going to clear. Because really what blocks our mind is thinking in dysfunctional ways that our culture tells us are truths. But when we can start to think more in alignment with Mother God, more in alignment with Mother Nature, then a whole different array of solutions and ideas and strategies can come to us and through us. And that is what clears the way. And so when it's saying when my mind is clear, the way is clear, I think it's about laying down some of the conventional approaches that our culture deems worthy, that really are beginning, more and more people are beginning to see as outdated and dysfunctional, and allowing the more holistic, intuitive approaches to lead the way. I think you're going to find a lot of healing and a lot of success there, in any area of your life. Imbalance is being corrected in your finances, imbalance is being corrected in your career, imbalance is being corrected in your relationships, imbalance is being corrected in your physical body. So wow, what an exciting time for you. Thank you for allowing me to do this reading. It really feels incredibly powerful. And I think if any of this resonated, if you're willing to baby step by baby step make these shifts, kudos to you. It is not easy to, to trust what we were taught by our culture, and then to instead go in the more completely abstract, intuitive way. Or it doesn't have to be completely, but hopefully you understand what I mean. That's difficult, right? But I think if you're at this point in this reading, it's something that you're willing to do, and I think that willingness is huge. And I just have no doubt it's going to clear ways for you, not just in this season, but the practice of it in this season is going to open up like a lifelong process of you more and more being this powerful beacon that not only clears the way for yourself, but also clears the way for others.